What's up, guys? Welcome to Three's a Podcast. Today we have Mr. Pulaski, Evan Rada,
Yep.
Danny Voiles,
Yo.
and I'm the James. Today we'll be discussing transracialism. What is transracialism? Transracialism is the transracial people are individuals who assert a racial identity for themselves, which differs from their birth ethnicity. So it's basically like being transgender, you know, but you're calling yourself a different gender than the one that you were actually born with. So, how many of you guys have heard of transracialism?
I did once.
When?
I heard of it, but I kind of figured it was just
A
a goof.
joke? Yeah.
Well, like I know, like I'm sure there's like maybe a couple of people, and then it's turned into headlines or something. But I just can't imagine it being taken very seriously.
Unfortunately, it is. It is taken pretty seriously. Not, it's not too mainstream right now, but the one of the first people that have come out as like being transracial, her name is Rachel Dozell, I believe. She was on the Today Show, and she wrote a book talking about, I guess, her experience and stuff like that.
Is this the lady who got like all the pigment surgery and everything?
I believe
Like
so.
she's
Yeah.
she's German, and she even went to like Kenya to be like honorarily inducted as a black woman.
Sure.
Dang.
Yeah.
She
Okay,
got
that's
onto
that's
the
not a
Today Show?
joke. That was something that she said on the Today Show.
Gosh,
That
damn,
she
sounds like she should
was
be on like Springer, not the Today Show.
that she
Yeah.
was okay, but she was born as a German woman, correct?
Yeah. And that she also like she was there with her husband and stuff. She was talking about like she recently went to Kenya to like get more in touch with that side of her. And she was telling the story about like how the villagers and stuff like honored her and stuff.
For that?
But what she was saying did not seem believable at all. Like what she was describing seemed like something someone thinks about Africa. Like it didn't seem like something that could really happen. Um,
Right.
she was kind of a crazy sounding lady from the interviews I watched.
Right. But what I'm trying to get at is that she is still claiming to be a race that was not born as, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. That's all, as long as we're
If we're talking about the same person, yeah.
Yes, I believe we are. I believe we are. Oh, you know what? Let me go ahead and share my screen just so you guys can see it.
Wait, how do I see it?
I'm about to show you guys. Oh, I cannot. Never mind.
This better be good.
It's better be good.
Oh, something's happening. There we go.
Yep, you see it? Okay. Yeah, there's Rachel, whatever her face is. Anyway, Dozell.
Black.
I'm not seeing her. I'm just seeing a wiki page.
Oh, really? Okay.
Are we allowed to make jokes on this podcast?
Oh, wait, no,
I
I
just want
see.
to
Make
get some ground rules.
jokes.
Okay, cool.
Oh, okay. I do know this chick. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Mhm.
the other reason that I'm discussing this is because we have other people who are doing the same thing. There's this white man. He says he is going to. He says he identifies as Filipino. We have the other girl. I would have had the Catch Me Outside girl, but there was nothing explicitly. I saw nothing online where she explicitly says I'm black, even though she's
Yeah, she's
clearly
just a
white.
classic. She's
Yeah,
just a classic white trash.
yeah. We have this Woe Vicky, and then this other guy. But What I want to talk about basically is the issue of promoting these people and the ideas that can arise from promoting such an ideology and the negativity that can come out of saying that it's okay by promoting, if that makes sense. Giving these kinds of people a platform.
So
Well,
with the whole giving them a platform thing, you mean because of the idea of transracialism and how that could affect us, or
Yeah, yeah. The yes, how that can affect us because yeah, they're given a platform. I understand like that. There's a point to where people need to speak and stuff like that, but like with the Catch Me Outside girl, I don't think that she should have gotten the fame at all because she was disrespectful to her mother, and she was obviously completely she w- she also she had like there was a lot of like emotional issues there behind all of that, and I don't think that we should be giving those kinds of people platforms because it does things to other people who might be feeling that way, and who think it's okay just because there could be money in it or whatever, or they just want to feel better about themselves or something. Do you understand what I'm saying? The kind of psychological effects that could be behind that.
yeah, I think so. I don't know. It's interesting to me because I've always thought that like not platforming certain people is kind of like an inherently dangerous thing. Um, so I don't know. I don't really know where I fall on that. I guess I'm more interested in what you think about it right now.
Um, okay, so I'm going to talk about. I've got a few like bullet points as far as the transracialism, the problem with it, um, emotionally, and then I'll get into the socially. So emotionally, I believe that transracialism is a problem is because people deny who they are, and they're lying to everyone else and to themselves.
Mm.
And socially, when we're talking about giving these people platforms, um, oh shit. Hold on, let me gather my thoughts real quick. Okay, so socially it's a problem because when we give these people platforms, I think inherently or subconsciously or whatever, subliminally, we are praising people for lying to themselves. We are teaching others to do the same because it's seen as okay, because people who are insecure or who think they grew up in the wrong, I'm sorry, because people will agree with it because people who are insecure are going to probably, I guess, subscribe to that kind of thing because of the way they feel about themselves. And same with people who think they grew up in the wrong race or whatever. And there could
are
be
you
money in it.
saying? Are you essentially saying
Uh,
you're thinking it's opening the door up for people to, if they don't feel comfortable where they what in their own skin or where they were born, to just change it or turn into whatever they want?
right, yeah. Exactly. And I feel like that happens when we start giving these people platforms. It's one thing to talk about the experience. It's another thing to throw these people money because it's such a great revolutionary thing, or whatever. Um, so I believe that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah. Well, I personally view this as another aspect of, just the total, nation or worldwide identity crisis
Uh-huh.
that we're having.
Right.
I've noticed this with, I would say nationwide, but it's really worldwide with a lot of first world countries.
Right.
Is you'll notice that there's this trend of everybody, I don't know, feeling. See, I call it. I basically view it as live action role playing, almost. Gone too far.
Right.
That's a good
Sorry,
point.
but that's hilarious.
And that's how I view all of these ridiculous identities that people are taking on, because it's, but I mean, if you look back, this isn't completely new.
Right.
There was a time, when the Japanese were taking it to the point where they were just getting really tight perms, and they were trying to look African American.
Are you talking about like cultural appropriation?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. So I mean, we've had white people. I mean, we have a term for them, but I'm not going to say on the podcast. But
Crackers?
we had a term for the members of our white race that were trying to, they were trying to be
Wigger.
black.
That's what he's trying to say.
Yes,
Degenerate?
that's the word.
That used to be a word that was pretty common. Do people say that
Yeah.
anymore?
Yeah, people do.
Degenerate?
Is it offensive? Because I guess so.
I
'cause of
don't
the
think
half
it's
of the word-
offensive,
half of it.
but just for the people that are like on their toes and got their panties in a wad, I guess, I don't know.
Well, I was just saying it just to be clear. It's not a word I
Yeah.
really use, but it's just I know that's what.
Yeah.
that
That's
is
what I
a-
was implying. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
I figured.
I probably should have left it alone.
No, you're
But
fine.
I mean, no, I mean there are plenty of white people that they adopt Ebonics, and they adopt the language and the fashion.
Yeah.
They adopt bionic?
I don't know
But-
why it's such a cool thing to be black.
Well,
It's pretty stupid.
Well, you wouldn't understand because you have black privilege.
well,
You don't know what it's like to not be black.
but no,
And
I
let
mean
me
now,
tell you,
now-
buddy, it's hard not being black. Sometimes I think about, just putting some tanning oil on, going outside, letting the sun do its business.
Okay. Well, what irritates me is we know that blackface is universally offensive, but
Yeah.
we have these quote unquote transracial people that are
Yeah.
going and getting a really dark spray on tan and getting a perm and saying they're black, and we have people taking them serious.
Wait.
You know?
Okay. On the whole blackface issue, I do have a quick question.
Yeah.
Will Smith was recently got into hot water because he was cast to play the dad of those sisters in a biopic.
The what?
And they're the tennis sisters. I can't remember what their names are.
Oh, okay.
Like the Williams sisters or something.
Venus and Serena Williams.
Yeah, they're doing a biopic. He was cast as the dad.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in the black community are really, well, I shouldn't say people in the black community. People in the diversity community are really pissed off
Why?
because he's not dark enough.
What?
Will
Dang.
Smith not dark enough, and so it's taking another role from dark actors and giving it to
Oh my
Hollywood.
God.
accepted
Oh
black
my
actors.
God, that makes me
You see,
so
that-
mad.
That's a whole
That's-
other issue that we could
Okay, but hold
discuss,
on.
actually.
But hold on, the question I have, this is a genuine question. I've asked it to a couple people, and they think I'm being ridiculous, and I get why, because it seems like a facetious point. But
Yeah.
I think Will Smith should bite the bullet and show everyone how stupid everything is, and he should black up for the role. Like, can you
Okay.
imagine if Will Smith did blackface for this role? At that point, we would have hit critical mass. It's like, who has the right to be upset anymore?
I kind of would agree with that, actually. I would agree with that.
I genuinely think he should do it.
Yes, I do agree with you. I think he should do a YouTube video of him painting himself black. I really do. I think
Yes.
I mean, I feel sometimes with these issues, like that's the only thing you can do is out ridiculous the ridiculous claims.
Yeah, just break out the shoe polish.
Yeah,
And,
And he
to the
should-
audience, this isn't offensive because he's already black.
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, in case you haven't heard of Will Smith, he is a black man with two black parents. It's not like he's half black.
Yeah,
That
he's
was a
not
joke.
half black. He's just not dark enough, and that's the thing that sucks is the whole argument. That's the thing is sometimes these genuine complaints by people who feel like, oh, maybe the black community is kept down because of ghettos and previous laws that we had and situations like that. But then it's like these other groups come in and completely derail whatever progress they might make.
Right.
By making outlandish claims and being like, oh, Hollywood only wants to get lighter dark people into roles. And it's like, there's so many dark black actors in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Is it really that wrong if the person you cast isn't the perfect shade to the real life counterpart?
Right.
Like if you had a more Greek looking person cast to play me, I would really hope that nobody gets pissed off and goes, he's the wrong skin tone. He's more of an olive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like that's the world we live in with these like just ridiculous fringe groups like claiming stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
Well,
I know I'm
exactly.
distracting from the main point, but I just felt like
I
That
mean,
kinda
we have Will Smith and that other guy that was in the Matrix, Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah.
those are the
Yeah.
only two black actors we have.
Well, we have I can't say name Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Michael B. Jordan.
Danny Glover.
Boyega. I can't remember his first name.
John.
John.
John Boyega. Yeah.
Though
Sorry.
he doesn't
White.
really have a black. He doesn't have a black first name, so I don't know if we should give him
Yeah. Well,
roles that
his
should
roles
go
are
to
all
dark people.
his roles all either suck or are forgettable. So,
Oh.
but
Oh. Wow.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
I mean, we got Morpheus and Mace Windu. Those are two unforgettable roles. And then we got Creed. But I'm
Creed's
sorry,
really good though.
Finn is just such a forgettable character.
Finn
So-
is a forgettable character, and Uprising was a forgettable movie. So I kind of see your point. Though he did
Yeah,
do
but
that
it-
one movie that apparently people liked.
Okay, well, anyway, back to the topic.
Yeah. What were you saying, Evan?
I can't believe that anybody would allow a person, even on the news, or take it seriously that a person goes against a spray-on tan
Yeah.
and dreadlocks, and they're like, oh, this person thinks they're black, they must be black, and they're fighting for their rights. I mean, how low does your self-esteem have to be, and how much of an identity crisis do you have to be in
Yeah.
to go on national TV or travel to Kenya to get? I mean, this is the most
Well,
ridiculous
I mean,
really
the point,
series I've
sad
had.
that the Kenyans
the point that
approved.
you made about real life role playing
Yeah.
going way
Yeah.
too far really is the best thing, because like
Well,
sometimes
I mean, this
okay
is the
so
most ridiculous thing I've ever had to say. But this person actually went to Kenya to become officially black.
Yeah.
It,
know, and
sounds,
that's-
it sounds like South
What I
Park.
want to know is what kind of ceremony happened. I want to know if they got this on video
I want
because
to know why the Kenyans
No,
are so
there's-
Do they,
stupid
no-
do
to
they
like
wash
approve
your
her.
feet and put Nikes on them?
What
and
the
then,
fuck?
it sounded like bullshit. Like it sounded like she was like they all wanted to touch me, and they were all smiling at me, and they sat me down and let me me and my husband take part in this this
blackening?
traditional Kenyan ceremony, and like
See-
we really felt accepted by them, and we
See,
just
I
don't
can
understand why
understand-
people can't accept us back here.
I can understand if there was like a ceremony that made them an honorary part of the tribe or something. If they found some tribe out somewhere, but I've never heard of any ceremony where an entire race agrees that you just became black. That doesn't.
Yeah, that did not happen.
And I guarantee if we did a man on the street interview and I walk around with a mic, I would be in danger of getting my ass kicked by every person I asked that question to, because it just doesn't exist.
Hmm.
I mean, and really in America, the only way you're going to get that kind of validation is if you went to someone like Al Sharpton, you know, and he would
He's
have
the
to
one guy in your
broadcast
mind
us.
that could say you were black.
Well, him, or if if Martin Luther King was still alive, you could use. This all sounds
Or
ridiculous because it
who's that
is.
reverend?
Louis
Who's that
Farrakhan
reverend
or Louis?
who decides if you're black or not?
What?
Who's the black reverend that makes
Reverend
all
Al
of...
Sharpton.
Oh, is it Al
Sharpton?
Sharpton? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, but this is just the level of what our society has come to. You know, I could, we've gotten to a point where I could go into a college campus and identify as a Japanese woman, and they wouldn't be able to say a damn thing to me. They would just go, okay. Because I
Well,
could,
I'm about...
I could get them barred from the school for discrimination. That's how
Well,
ridiculous our system has become.
yeah, I mean, I'm about to move to a college, and I'm identifying as Danny Voiles, and they can't really say anything about it.
I identify as a Japanese woman with a 12-inch penis.
Oh man.
That person, the college admissions person has to sit there and go, okay, and they have to write that down on a piece of paper.
That's bullshit.
That's my official document for the college.
Yeah, I
Japanese
identify as myself with a slightly larger penis.
Oh man.
I identify as a 3-legged Indian midget. My 3 legs,
Yeah,
I walk
that's
with 2 of them.
specific, man. You know what? The way you said that, I feel like you have envisioned yourself that way a couple times because that came to your head a little too quick.
I'm just filling out random races, and I only walk with 2 of the legs, but
Okay.
I'm just saying, I view the nation as being in a state of total identity crisis, and this is a result of that.
Yeah.
I mean, because let me look at Elizabeth Warren. She just completely claimed she's Native American to the point where she had to get a DNA test.
Yeah. And then she got fisted by the DNA test.
Yeah, and now, a better option would be to say that I just identify as Native American, and they never would have. Oh, she just thinks she's,
Yeah.
Which by the way, there's a hilarious T-shirt you can get from Mark Dice that is Elizabeth Warren with an Indian headdress.
Yeah.
Just one of the most hilarious things I've ever seen.
I've seen that. Oh man.
No, I mean, we have people claiming to be Hispanic, Asian.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, everybody wants to be something they're not now. Like, nobody's happy with what they're born with.
Right.
And that comes down to self-esteem and, the inability to accept what you've been given and live with that. Do the best with what you have.
To think that those insecurities, though, come this far is pretty strange, right? That her going to what kind of stupid ceremony did she go to where she was black?
Okay. You guys are kind of taking that too far. What I'm saying is, she's claiming when she went to Kenya, that everyone accepted her, and there was like this ceremony that these people accepted them into,
right?
And for her, it was like she was being accepted as a black woman,
right?
There wasn't a ceremony where she was being accepted as a black woman.
See, this literally sounds like a joke that you would come up with, Caleb. This whole story, and I know it's true because I've read the same story.
It does sound like a Danny joke.
That's why I know that it's just.
Danny joke.
We are living in an episode of South Park that will just not end. I've been waiting since 2014 for this to end, and it just keeps getting worse and crazier.
Yeah, I know. It's so stupid. I can't believe that all of what she is claiming that she did hangs on the fact that she was not happy with who she was, so she had to claim that she was black. Why?
Yeah.
Why is everyone claiming that they're black? We have other people like claiming, like there's this guy that claims that he's a Filipino woman even though he's white. I don't know why he cares about the Philippines or you know them. Anyway,
The Filipinos.
The
Those islands.
Philippines.
Yeah. Like 5 or 6 chapters off the coast of Asia.
What are you referencing?
The Bible.
Oh, I think he's referencing VeggieTales.
What?
Anyway,
Is that VeggieTales? I can't remember VeggieTales.
yeah, it's a scene in VeggieTales where Larry Boy is lying down. The tomato is explaining to him the Filipinos versus the Philippines or something like that. I'm not even joking.
How the hell
a real
does anybody
scene, but
remember that?
I just want.
I
just
haven't
want
seen
to
VeggieTales
hear
in over like
Ty
15 years.
Explain VeggieTales episodes more. The
So-
tomato.
Bob, what are the Philippines? The Philippines are a group of islands off the coast of Southeast Asia, but that's not important now. The Philistines were people who hated Israel. They wanted to take Israel's land and make the Israelites their slaves, so they'd have to do whatever the Philistines told them to do. Oh, that's bad. You're right.
Bob the tomato,
Yeah, Bob the
Yeah.
the
Tomato.
cucumber.
Yeah,
I don't remember what the
No,
other names were, but
and it was David and Goliath, or Davy and Goliath. Anyway, with the short asparagus.
well, you can actually find VeggieTales on Netflix now.
Yeah, but it's all shitty.
shit?
They have eyes.
They had eyes in
they've
the
always had eyes.
Yeah, but
dumbass.
their eyes are actually like colored in, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Wait
Why
a
did you give
minute.
them this? It's all gross
this
and
is-
nasty. The
this is
animation
gonna be a
so-
great podcast
so
for
fucking
highlights.
Disgusting.
What?
Yeah, have you seen it?
Okay.
Anyway, but why?
Well, here's a line. I am as much a piece of broccoli as that woman is black.
Oh my
Is that
god!
going to go on a t-shirt?
I am as much.
That
a
could
piece
go
of-
on a t-shirt.
I could do that. I could probably modify that for transgenderism as well. Anyway, so
Well-
my thing is, why is everyone willing to claim that they're black? Like, what is so cool about being black? I don't understand that.
Well,
We've
it's. Here's the thing. There's a couple cool things about being black. Like, for instance, I always wanted an afro when I was a kid, and that's not a joke. I legitimately thought afros were really cool. You can't really rock one as a white person. But my point.
Do you remember
here's the
when
point
people
I was.
Yeah, my dad
did?
tried.
It's the status, right? And by the way, I'm not saying that black people have a higher elevated social status, but right now on the left,
Mhm.
you do have the oppression Olympics going on.
the victim card.
So you have this, so you have this lady. That's like an extra level. Even if she's not going to get the victim card for being black, she's going to get a card for being transracial. You know,
Okay.
or at least that's maybe what I imagine she's going for. But,
Right.
But it does come back to that whole thing of like people not. I mean, it used to be the liberals, like the left. You know, PBS. Yeah, 1 second.
Mm-hmm. What about you two?
What? Sorry, guys.
Go ahead, Matt.
Sorry, I'm trying to fill out my financial aid right now.
No, that's fine. To finish my thought, I was going to say, it used to be a lot of people on the left, like liberals and stuff. A very common thing was like, be yourself, and it's okay to be different. And if you're
Right.
like a woman, it's okay. If you're white, black, whatever, like embrace the difference, embrace that you're different.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a pretty good progressive thing.
Right.
And now it's becoming this thing of like, I feel like there's a problem when you're
Mhm.
telling people that they shouldn't be comfortable in their own skin. And if they have a problem, then cosmetics will save it, right? I mean, here's the thing: if you're gonna say that, now I know the transracial thing is more like you're just claiming something, but if it goes the same direction as the transgender stuff,
Yeah.
then that means if you get to this point where it's like, okay, we're basically just justifying plastic surgery. And could you imagine if a girl's like, I feel pretty on the inside, but on the outside I'm ugly. I want to go get, some double D's.
Yeah.
And we were all like, well, if that's how you feel on the inside, then you should do that because that'll make you feel happy if the outside reflect, like, you know what I mean? It seems like wherever we're going with it, I think that as far as people's mental health is where I get really concerned.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a person who's antagonistic. I might be antagonistic against this lady because she seems particularly nutty, but
Right.
like transgender people, for instance, I'm not. I think sometimes people go too far where they attack them. I get concerned that these are people who actually have legitimate problems and they're just being addressed the wrong way, and we need to figure out like the correct way. I mean, I think Danny's talked about this before about how what happens when 20 years from now we look back and go, oh my God, I can't believe the way we treated these people who needed help, and we totally like helped them.
Yeah, okay.
It's called gender dysphoria.
I wanted. Yeah, well, and I wanted to be careful because I'm new to the pod. I didn't want to like jump into any extreme opinions right off the bat, but that is what Matt's talking about. Like, that's something that genuinely concerns me because I never attack trans people, and I interact with trans people and work with some of them.
Yes.
And I listen to what they say because it's very interesting and they know more about it than I do.
Right.
But one of my concerns is always, we have this extreme acceptance movement, this like acceptance of anything. It doesn't seem too far to accept, like, oh, you're a man, but you feel like you were born a woman and you want to change your body to better represent what you believe the internal you is.
Right.
That doesn't seem like too bad of a thing, but it's like, okay, well, where do you stop accepting people? Do you stop accepting people when they say that they're only attracted to children? Or do you stop people when they say, I believe that I am of a completely different nationality on the inside? Like, where does that stop? Because to some extent, it is failing to identify with who you actually physically are.
Right.
Even with transgenderism, even the people who are doing that, it's like you may be identifying with your mental self, but you're still limited by your physical self.
Right.
And it's like, okay, you want to change that up. Cool. But then what we do, we get involved and we start rallying behind these people, and we're like, they universally should be accepted. Anyone who feels this way should be pushed to change themselves and accepted. And it's like 20 years from now, are all these people going to be 20 years older and like, man, I still feel really unhealthy. Like I can't pull the different parts of my mind the way I see myself together.
Right.
And I wish someone had actually helped me process that rather than giving me an easy way out that ended up permanently damaging my body.
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, there's even a couple people coming out now who are kind of early models for the trans movement. There's a gentleman, I believe he transitioned to female, and I don't know if he's still female now or he transitioned back, but now he's coming out and protesting the whole movement and saying that, like, for him, he really didn't need to transition, and it ended up being more of a fad, and it didn't help him at all, and he had actually made things worse because he was being pushed to say certain things and preach a certain message. And if he felt differently to that, all of the people who were supporting him would kind of just turn away from him.
Right. Yeah.
So that's something that, like, I don't really know the answer to, and I don't really know what my stance is, but it's something that very much, like, concerns me.
Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead.
I could say the closest I've ever been to an issue like that is, I had a period where I felt like I'd been born in the wrong time. And, it's like, wow, I should have been born 50 years ago. But I never identified as a guy that was born in the 1950s, some guy that existed in that time because it was ridiculous.
And that's kind of a good example because people really do that.
to me, it was like I relate better to this time, and I've even had certain cultures that I felt that I related better to a little bit, but I never identified as one of them because I was like, well, this is where I'm at now.
Yeah.
But we've gotten to a point where we almost encourage people to say, yeah, you're part of this culture. It's like, instead of, I understand this better, or this is just more suitable to my personality.
Right.
We have people, I think that's an issue with the transgenders and transracial and, so on. We have all these different movements of people saying, I identify with this is who I am. But it's never just something like I relate better to this. It becomes your entire identity. I think that's what's really dangerous. I mean, like he was saying with the transgender movement, my issue, the reason I could never endorse that was because, well, there are too many people. Well, you look up sexchangeregret.com. That website is, it has several stories. It was started by a guy who transitioned and regretted it. And that website has stories of people that transitioned and regretted it.
Yeah.
And you look at the suicide rates, it's the same. And then we come to, well, the issue that we're hearing by a lot of activists is, well, they're not feeling accepted. And when you have an identity crisis like that, there's no amount of acceptance that you're going to get that's going to make you feel okay because you're not accepting yourself. You're dealing with your own personal issues and expecting everybody outwardly to fix your problem.
Right.
And I think that's what happens with a lot of these, transracial. It's all the same. Well, I need somebody else to validate me, and this group of people didn't validate me, so maybe these people will. It's a lack of self-validation.
Yeah.
And all the laughs aside, I think that's probably what this woman we've been talking about is probably what most, I pretty much know it's what most transgenders deal with because I've spoken to them and I've spent time with a number of them as the movements become more popular. And I'd say the main issue with it, having an entire world in identity crisis is people. Well, I would get into social media, but we're looking at the media, we're looking at everything online, all these people's lives, and we're looking at ourselves and judging ourselves and deciding if we want to be someone else. Everybody wants to be something else because what they are, they're not happy with.
Yeah, it's not good enough to them.
And the more diverse lifestyles you're exposed to, the more you're going to be like, well, this one, is this one as fun as theirs? When at the end of the day, everybody's life is just as crappy as yours. They just have a different flavor to it. So, but it's very difficult for me to take any of these people seriously. When it comes to trans people, it's mostly me feeling sorry for them because I can just kind of tell. They're just dealing with some serious issues that they want addressed, and that's just from statistics. Now, transracial people, I don't entirely know. It could be a big, it could be them seeking attention. It could just be, they're not happy with who they are, so they want this new group of people to just embrace them and make them feel better about themselves.
Right.
But I feel like at the end of the day, it's up to them to go and find their own validation.
When you say find their own validation, what do you mean by that?
Well, I feel like, especially in an era where we have someone commenting on everything that we do, we're posting pictures on the internet and waiting for everybody to figure our stuff out. A lot of us are expecting everybody else to tell us how great we were. and not looking at the blessings that we do have, and how we can actually find a sense of self-love,
Mm-hmm.
and being secure in who we are, as opposed to, well, this person's so cool, I want to be them.
Right.
Because I think it's a very cheesy quote, but they say no one will be youer than you.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
you didn't
Yeah.
get the race you want, the race you think you want, but, do the best you can with what you have and just enjoy, who you really are.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the end of my rant, so.
Well, yeah, and so where I would say, like, these issues are kind of complicated, but I think one of the aspects that rarely gets looked at is internal versus external locus of control, and that's kind of what Evan was touching on a bit. Is it's like these people really are struggling, and what they're struggling with is very real psychologically. But what we're deciding they should do as a society is tell society to change and accept them as they are,
Mm-hmm.
rather than, and the argument kind of is that they accept themselves, like they accept themselves this way,
Right.
and so if society will also accept them that way, then everything will be good.
Right.
It's like if you're fighting against your actual physical limitations, then you still haven't accepted yourself. You're
Mm-hmm.
still trying to identify as something that you're not,
Right.
something that's kind of beyond your capacity to be, and so you're not accepting your limitations.
Right.
And when you do that, like, I think there's a part of you that's always dissatisfied. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
on any level, you can be dissatisfied with anything about yourself, and if you don't accept that limitation, you're not tall enough, or your teeth aren't straight enough. All these different things, even though you can get your teeth straightened, there's surgeries now that can help you grow a few inches. It's
Yeah.
like, the main issue is can you be happy and content with the way you are, or do you need the whole world to tell you that you're happy?
Right. Yeah.
Um,
I see what you're saying.
and I think that's where all of these issues stem from, and it's a very unhealthy way for us as a society to look at it. And
Mm.
I mean, you kind of see that with everything. When people have issues with the way society works, they protest and they want the whole society to change to fit their view of what utopia
Yeah.
is. And it's like, okay, the best thing you can do for yourself to actually increase your contentedness,
Yeah.
your peace, and even positive emotion. I wouldn't necessarily say happiness, because happiness is kind of fleeting. But in order to make your life improve, is to just accept the lot that you've been given
Right.
and do the best with what you have.
Mm-hmm.
And we're telling people that they should never do that.
Right. Yeah. Because we are enabling them in some way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what okay.
Because we're trying to take the burden on as a society
Right.
to fix the issue,
Right.
rather than saying, hey, you as an individual have this issue, you're going to have to solve it as an individual.
Figure out how to deal with it. Yeah, that's
Well, I guess I'd see another example is all the BuzzFeed articles about dating that are, why you need to change your perspective on this, basically. It's all, I don't know if I brought up the nipple rings article last week, but
What?
there was an article about this woman who uses her nipple rings, basically uses that as a talking point to decide whether or not she can have a relationship with a guy if he's going to be too shocked by him. There was another one, but this was the most shocking one for me. This was the most the biggest projection of self-esteem issues I think I've seen in an article from BuzzFeed, and it was a woman who was talking about Asian fetish and how Asian women need to stop dating white guys.
I read that article.
And there was a line in that just was a total tell that everything she was saying was coming from a place of low self-esteem. But she says, all you are is somebody that looks like a million different versions of you. Like you just look like someone in a long line of people that look like you. And when I read that, I was like, this isn't a race issue. This is an issue that she has with herself. This is probably a common self-esteem issue because of the way our society has, been operating just the past 5 years, the way we viewed race.
Right.
And the way I think, and I think it's a legitimate thing to say is many Asian women probably assume that that's what they are. But instead of addressing it as a subject of low self-esteem and saying, you're beautiful, you should empower yourself,
Yeah.
it was, well, just stop dating white guys because they think you all look the same. And that's,
Oh my
that's
God.
basically like, saying this is all you're ever going to be.
Yeah.
Just accept it and move, And I was like, well, the article doesn't address any other race of guys that might be into Asians.
Right.
And to call it a fetish, I think that is totally just projecting your insecurities on other people. Like you're just a fetish. Meanwhile, she's engaged to a white guy. She mentions in the article. And it's like, well, do we just, are you saying that you're pro-segregation? Because I've seen the same thing with black women where they've said, or actually on both sides where they say, well, you shouldn't date white guys because, they think this about black girls. And then I've seen, well, this is why you should date white guys. There's a totally other article on the other side of things. So I'm like, well, there's all these different, identity and self-esteem issues within every aspect of our lives. And we're supposed to follow the strenuous set of rules set by us by a group of, bloggers somewhere that think they know everything.
Yeah.
And just about every single one of them is projecting, their self-esteem issues and creating these rules about them. Like they're going to impact the whole world.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course that calls back to the self-esteem issues of somebody who's white that thinks that they have to be black as well.
Yeah.
I'm not happy, So, I mean, I know that the podcast is kind of taking a whole different route probably than you thought it would, but I really think this is just about all these issues are going to come back to the same issue of self-esteem.
No, that's fine. So it did a little bit, but I think we can all conclude that, as far as I'm concerned, we understand that giving people a platform and telling them that this is okay is enabling someone and does not allow someone to face their own problems, own internal issues, and it does not allow someone to question why they are having these issues and what it stems from and everything else. And I would also say that I think we can all conclude that giving a platform has not only that effect, but the effect that, I guess it's all kind of the same. Not only does it affect someone, on a personal level, but it affects the social community as well.
Well,
so, because you have this thing where it's the individual that makes up it's the individual that makes up the group. So even though you have this these like 10 people, and they all have like one common goal, right? Those common goals are there for each of those individuals, if that makes sense, right? So the group wouldn't be there without that one single individual who has that certain goal in mind. You understand what I'm saying?
Ooh, kind of.
Kind of. Okay.
I believe you're trying to say is that each individual makes up a group.
Right, exactly.
Each individual within the group.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. That's correct.
So are you trying to wrap up here?
If you have anything else you want to say, you may go ahead.
Well, I would just want to say where I think we do agree on everything that we discussed here. The issue, I believe what we discussed is kind of a separate issue.
As far as, go ahead.
Is a separate issue to whether or not these people deserve a platform. Because I would actually say I think that they should, on the grounds of I don't believe anyone should not have room for a platform.
So you're talking about the ability to speak. Is that what you mean?
No, I'm just talking to, like, all of these articles, all of these people who are talking on shows and everything. I don't believe there's anything wrong with that.
So the reason I think there's something wrong with it is because I think it subconsciously tells people that it's okay.
Well,
Yeah.
what would you propose? Are you proposing that we like ban people from talking about it?
I wouldn't say necessarily ban, but I think there needs to be a clear thing at the end, where we define that it is a problem. We're letting this person talk, but their ideas are cancerous.
Well, I mean, I was gonna say, I think, well, I think they
that
should
might
be
be a
allowed to
little
talk.
extreme to say at the end of.
They should be
Well, right.
They should be combated by
Right.
people who disagree with them, and then
Yeah,
the
yeah.
audience of intellectuals can decide, what the better ideas are. I mean,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
we've talked
because-
about deplatforming on this podcast several times, and when you start saying well, I'm afraid of letting this person speak because subconsciously we're letting them know it's okay, it does end up sounding similar to when people say like Jordan Peterson shouldn't speak or Alex Jones shouldn't speak because subconsciously, they're giving we're saying that right wing ideologies and like Nazism is okay. I know it's not exactly the same thing, but my point is like we have
That's
to
true.
we have to allow free speech across the board,
we
Yeah.
have to keep
and just allow people to combat it.
And I think that's where that's my point as well. Like that's
Yeah,
what
that's true.
is that when we say that these ideas, I mean, the thing is, everything we discussed here today is all being discussed out in the open.
Right.
All of these issues, trans issues, trans race issues. I believe that the people who are saying these things should have a platform, but I also feel people like us who are trying to understand it and also think that maybe it's kind of bullshit and not the best way to handle the problem. We also should have a platform and just let the ideas battle out, rather than saying like, these ideas should not be espoused, so maybe we need to cut this person out. So while I agree with you about like how we're addressing these topics, I don't.
Okay.
If the real issue that we're discussing is whether these people should have a platform or not, I would actually say yes.
Okay. So then the issue is the way we are handling it. Correct? Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's how we're handling the issue, not the fact that the people who have the issue are speaking.
Right. And I'm not talking about like just speaking. I'm merely talking about like
I definitely don't think these people should be idolized or put forward as like somebody that you would want to emulate.
Right. That's kind of what I'm talking of, more along the lines of talking about.
Yeah, I personally view it as an arena of ideas. We have multiple platforms that Of course, I view every platform as neutral because I see ideas rise and fall all the time. I think, especially just the past, if we look back 10 years and look at the political ideologies and social ideologies that have risen and fallen, I don't think the issue is really the fact that there's a platform. Like, there's just, what scares me is the fact that so many people they want to validate what's being said.
Mm-hmm.
But I still do very much believe in free speech, regardless.
Oh yeah.
It's just a matter of, what puzzles me is just seeing people buy into some of these, buy into this discussion.
Right.
Especially when we have the story we told at the beginning of the podcast sounds like something that came out of an episode of South Park.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what really concerns me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It does. It's I don't know. Something like this is pretty crazy, and I never thought I would hear about it. Did you say she came out in like 2014 or something like that?
I'm not sure exactly what year she came out. I was saying since 2014, this kind of stuff has been going on.
Okay. What were we going to say, Caleb or Matt?
Well, I was just gonna say the same thing. I think what Evan meant was like it seemed like a lot of this. It all kind of started with the college campus stuff around 2014, and then since then it's been a roller coaster.
Okay, so what is this?
But the thing is, I mean, here's the deal though about all of this that I think is interesting is this encompasses most of the things we talk about socially and politically, is like how much the media conveys things, because in reality, like the transgender is such a, I'm not necessarily dismissing them as a people, but it is it's I think it's relevant to point out that transgenders make up such a small, tiny percent of the population.
Yeah.
This transracial thing must be even smaller than that.
Oh yeah, it's way smaller.
It must be like micro, just like statistically like almost invalid.
Yeah.
I mean, so it ends up being this thing where like, but because it's an interesting topic and because it sounds, ridiculous, I think it ends up being, you have her on the Today Show, for instance. It's like, and all the media ends up portraying it in a way, which is where I can sympathize with what you were saying about the way that, giving them these platforms.
Right.
I think they should, obviously, I'm not saying we should ban anyone or they can't say anything, but the media does have a way of like finding things that they know people will be interested in on both sides, whether you want to agree with it, be super crazy left-wing progressive, or you want to be, you hate it, you hate any of this stuff on the other side. Like it ends up portraying these things as being a much bigger problem in society than I actually think they really are.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, any publicity is good publicity. Yeah.
Right.
Well, and people tend to follow the loudest voice. And I think that's why you have all these fringe minorities becoming so popular. And society
and by that,
being like, we have to be
you mean like Filipinos, Taiwanese, just kind of minorities on the fringes?
I mean more of identity politics that's on the fringe.
Oh,
because
right. Sorry, that was
because you have people that are like, well, we have to be so conscious of this, group of people that makes up 0.01% of the population, and everybody's looking for them, and people are like, oh, maybe I'm one of these people.
Yeah.
And you could make up any type of ideology that this 0.1% of the population identifies as people start going, well, maybe I'm one of them. Yeah, it's going to grow because you have a whole nation of people in identity crisis. They're going to go, well, I think I'm this type of person because it's popular and I'm seeing it.
Right.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I'm not even, I'm not going to get into some of the stuff that I've seen where that has happened because it would take us way off subject. But I think the reason people are so concerned about some of these, especially transracialism, which is something I don't think anybody sees on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I personally never encountered it in my lifetime. I've encountered, like I said earlier, I've encountered plenty of people that would, plenty of guys I would consider to be a wigger.
Yeah.
But I've never encountered a guy that actually said, well, I'm black and was getting himself a permanent spray-on tan.
Yeah.
So I think when it becomes harmful to society, it will be the point where they are asking us to start making special validation for them.
Yeah.
When it becomes legal, that's when it becomes an issue. Because I'm not going to pay, if I'm paying tax dollars to pay reparations to a guy that went and got a perm,
Yeah.
I'm going to be very pissed off.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Because at that point, we know our society has failed us.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But I would say, all in all, I'm not too concerned about this because, the people in question that are doing this they're stirring a lot of outrage.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that actually takes them serious. They're a laughing stock to everybody that tries to come out and say that this is what they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well,
I hope it does not, become a thing at all. But I've seen there's been other things that we didn't think would be a thing, and now they're normalized and stuff. And sometimes we don't know how far something can go.
Like furries, I never took them seriously.
Yeah, that's actually a good example. Yes, it really is. That's a good example. But yeah, I really hope that this does not become a thing, and I hope people are smart enough to realize the repercussions of this, to know how troubling, or maybe not troubling, but just the issues that can come out of something like this when we accept and stuff.
Well, I'd like to add that there are probably more furries per capita than transracial people.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because furries I've actually encountered in real life. I've never encountered a transracial person.
Oh, you've encountered
that you
a
know
furry?
of.
What?
You've encountered a furry?
I've met furries in real life. It's probably because of
Dude, he loves them. He goes to all the conventions, man.
I spend a lot of time on the geek scene, anime and
His
sci-fi,
ex-boyfriend was a furry.
Star Wars, all that kind of crap. So yeah, I've encountered furries.
Yeah.
But so you understand from my perspective, a transracial person is more diverse than a furry to me because you never see them. It's like a unicorn. In fact, I take it even further. I think a transracial person is far more rare than someone who was over 21 that's a virgin. Per capita in our society. So,
how is that further than a unicorn?
I don't know. I'm losing my train of thought at this point. I'm just trying to name things that are rare, that there are more, more of than transracial people, because it's.
Oh my god.
I'm trying to, I want our listeners
Well, it also
to know
makes you
this
wonder.
isn't the next major issue in our society, because as long as they're not taken seriously, people aren't going to start doing it. So I think there needs to be a certain level of reprimand. I think there's a lot of little subsets that should have been reprimanded a long time ago before they became popular.
Yeah.
Kind of, they needed to be spanked or something.
Yeah. I mean, like bronies. We should have stopped. We should have nipped bronies at the bud as soon as possible.
Hey, bronies are not bad.
What?
They're not great. Let's be honest.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm just saying, this whole
Are you
identity.
a brony?
I'm not a brony. But
Are you a brony?
I have seen like 3 episodes, and it's not horrible, and it's not like gross to watch.
Well, yeah, but when you're dressing up like a character from My Little Pony and going to an orgy, I think you've taken it too far.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll agree with that one.
And I've heard it mentioned that kind of stuff actually does happen. I thought it was a myth, but I guess they're eyewitnesses to those activities. So
Yeah. Oh my god. Damn.
but you know, I don't know. I view all this identity crisis stuff as just live action role play gone too far.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, you know, it's like you're picking your race and then your class and then
Yeah.
your gender. You're like, this is what I am, and you commit to it, and then you go around leveling up your different skills.
What kind of skills would this lady have, Evan?
I would say charisma. She levels up her charisma a lot.
The racial.
Oh man, I was trying to bait
Dozel,
you into
right?
saying something racially insensitive, but
or deception. Her deception skills.
So I cannot believe that you could like change your pigment like that.
She keeps rolling too low to be able to deceive everybody.
Coming out because they were talking about that like 3 years ago, weren't they, Ty?
What?
Pikmin
when is
4?
when is Pikmin 4 coming out? You just said something about they were changing Pikmin.
Wow.
Oh my god. Anyway.
Okay, wow. Caleb, this is not a comedy podcast. This is supposed to be serious.
That's okay. It's fine.
Oh, is it? I'm so sorry.
You're totally cool. You're fine.
I didn't get an overview before we started this.
You're cool. I wanted like all of you.
We joke around in it a lot.
Yeah, we do. We're cool.
Actually, by joking around, I realize that you guys always know I'm joking, but most of the time we do this podcast, I always say stuff, really insensitive stuff on purpose because it sounds funny, and then I never clarify that I was joking.
Well, the thing is, like, I know if I walked to any of you three and I said, guys, I think I'm an Asian woman, so one of you would punch me in the face.
No, wait.
I would
get your
accept
pigment changed, right?
I would never hit a woman.
So, guys, I think I'm an Asian woman, but, I'm also a
Hey, Asians
lesbian.
are smart. You'll be that much smarter.
Hey, that's racist, dude.
That was.
I know
that
that
much
fucking
smarter.
dumb Asians, man.
And the reason I would identify as an Asian lesbian is so that I could appropriate the culture and still date women.
Wait, is there a
real
lot of...
appropriation?
Okay,
I've got it all figured out.
Wait, hold on. So just to clarify,
Guys, I just made my own QR code.
Okay, so before
If you
we
scan
get off
it, it
topic,
opens up to a picture of my penis.
before we get off topic, I'm gonna ask if anybody has anything else to say about the topic.
I think I'm done. I think the reason I'm getting so off the beaten path is because I think I've run out of things to say to you.
All right, no, you're cool. You're cool. Okay.
I guess if I had anything else to say about the topic, it's that like it just goes to show that being cringy and unpopular is always in fashion. Abercrombie and Finch failed, but Hot Topic's still here. So there's always going to be cringy 13-year-olds with us.
I don't know. I think douchebag is always going to be in.
And Matt, do you have anything else?
That's what
to say?
H&M is for.
Honestly, well, I think generally most people are reasonable, and I think the media portrays these crazy sides where everyone seems crazy, and you start feeling like the world's falling apart. You're like, what? There's a woman. Like, are we really living in times where you can say that you're black and be inducted into the Black Hall of Fame in Kenya or whatever? Like this is like, it does seem disturbing, but I think really you talk to people in real life, even liberals, by the way.
Yeah.
Most liberal friends or people that I talk to in real life think that stuff's ridiculous too.
Yeah.
So the final note I would say is like, it's not the end of the world's not on fire. It's not the end of the world. It just seems like it sometimes in the media.
Absolutely.
That's not to say we shouldn't push back against these bad ideas, but I don't think it's as bad as it seems.
Okay.
And that's what I have to say.
A little bit of good encouragement from Matt Pulaski. You needed that.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
All right, guys.
Absolutely.
This has been Three's a Podcast.